All right. Well, this is going to be two-part. Hello, Cindy. Welcome. Um, I want to talk about how you feel like you've been blessed by God, but at the same time, what kind of pressure do you feel like you're under right now? You can take both questions or one or the other. Blessings from God. Do you feel like, wow, God, I'm so incredibly blessed? And then at the same time, oh my God, I'm under so much pressure. And it is possible for the two to coexist. That's what we're going to be discussing tonight. So let me open it up to blessings. How has God blessed your life?
So recently, wait, yeah, last week, I had the unfortunate pleasure, not pleasure. Yeah, in the end, it was an opportunity. But the little girl I care for
Mhm.
fell when I was caring for her
Oh,
and chipped
no.
her tooth. And I'm like, these are things you want to happen when the parents are the ones caring for the child,
Yes.
not you. So my brain is like, I'm screwed, I'm over. This is it, right? And so do first aid. She's bleeding like crazy, so she's freaking out. And so then eh, blood stops, and then she goes, call my mom. And I'm like, yep, let's call your mom, right? So the mom comes and she drove over to pick us up. And the first thing she says is like, Brenda, I want you to know that this could have happened to any of us. It could happen to me, it could happen to the dad, it could happen to the grandma. So first and foremost, I want you to just take a deep breath. This is not your fault. And I'm like, blessing. And then and then so like maybe 30 minutes later, the little girl calms down and just starts playing. And then it's nap time, so I'm getting her, rocking her down to sleep. And I just sat there and just prayed through everything. Like, okay, God, she had herself, and yet she's still okay. Like all the different, like, this sucks, but yet this is how
Yeah.
your provision and your protection and your grace comes through. So I'm still living on that blessing of like just the high of where you go to the lowest, worst case scenario,
Mhm.
and God is like, well, calm down. This is what I did. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So blessing and pressure at the same
Mm.
time. Somebody else. Blessing that you feel like, okay, God is showering me with the blessing right now. Yet at the same time, I feel pressure.
I feel blessed by the family that God's given me,
Hmm.
just from where I came from and what kind of family life I did have.
Hmm.
That I've got a great husband, I've got great kids. I mean, everybody has their struggles and things like that, but it's not anything like kind of the home life that I grew up in, kind of very
Right.
chaotic and all that. So I feel like I'm blessed with that. And as far as pressure is concerned, I seem to have a knack for giving that to myself, but I can't think of anything right now other than I need to be painting. And I've had a house guest, so some
So
pressure
you have
there.
it. Okay. Okay. All right. Good deal. We are going to look at a very familiar passage, but I'm taking a deep dive on it and I'm going to twist and turn it in a way that we're not familiar with it going. At least I haven't been. And maybe you guys can share with me. So we're going to be over in Genesis and we're looking at Jacob wrestling with God, wrestling with the angel. But we're going to do a lot of reading. So if I can break it up and get some strong readers for me, if we can do Genesis 32, verses 1. At first, we're just going to look at 1 through 21. If I can get someone to read that,
I
please.
can,
Thank you.
Maureen raised her
Maureen.
hand.
Thank you, Maureen.
You're muted, Maureen.
You're muted.
Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so Jacob also, and I'm reading from the NIV. Jacob also went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So he named that place Mahanaim. Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir, the country of Edom. He instructed them, "This is what you are to say to my lord Esau, your servant. Jacob says, I've been staying with Laban and have remained there till now. I have cattle and donkeys, sheep, goats, male and female servants. Now I'm sending this message to my lord that I may find favor in your eyes." When the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, "We went to your brother Esau, and now he is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." In great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and herds and camels as well. He thought, if Esau comes and attacks one of the group that is left may escape. Then Jacob prayed, "O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, who said to me, 'Go back to your country and your relatives, and I will make you prosper.' I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan, but now I have become two camps. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack me, and also the mothers with their children. But you have said, 'I will surely make you prosper and will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted.'" He spent the night there, and from what he had with him, he selected a gift for his brother Esau: 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, and 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows and 10 bulls, and 20 female donkeys and 10 male donkeys. He put them in the care of his servants, each herd by itself, and said to his servants, "Go ahead of me and keep some space between the herds." He instructed the one in the lead, "When my brother Esau meets you and asks, 'Who do you belong to, and where are you going, and who owns all these animals in front of you?' then you are to say, 'This belongs to your servant Jacob. They are gifts sent to my lord Esau, and he is coming behind us.'" He also instructed the second, the third, and all the others who followed the herds. "You are to say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And be sure to say, 'Your servant Jacob is coming behind us.'" For he thought, "I will pacify him with these gifts I am sending on ahead. Later, when I see him, perhaps he will receive me." So Jacob's gifts went on ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp.
All right, there is a lot in that. So let's just talk about it. What jumps out at you and why? There's a lot going on.
He was very scared of his brother,
He was very scared of his.
very scared. Mhm. And he was
Yes.
trying to, um, he was trying to, I guess today's terminology would be set himself up for success.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Anybody else? What's happening? What stood out for you personally? Because he had a lot going on. Angel.
Um, this whole situation is kind of making me feel like how my relationship kind of started with God. Like it started with fear and the worry that I was going to be rejected, and
Mhm.
then feeling like, okay, well, if I do all these things and I give all these things, then maybe he'll accept me.
Mm,
Um, and that was like before I really understood that like there's nothing that I can really do.
mhm.
Um, and that I needed a relationship with him first to bear the fruit, you could say. But
Yep.
it reminds me of that, like him having fear and praying about it, and then, well, what can I give him to make him favor me before he even sees me, kind of thing. So
Okay. Good. Good. Anybody else? Anything stand out for you?
Mm.
Brenda, then Maureen.
Um, so Jacob, even though he's been away in the midst of all of Laban's gods and stuff, he's able to recognize the angels of God when they encounter him.
Mhm.
And he stays true to his forefathers and names the place where the angels of God have encountered him, and he kind of like calls it God's camp. So that in itself, I'm like, okay, he's setting out knowing that God is with him.
Mm-hmm.
and that's comforting.
Okay, good. Maureen.
He said he prayed. This is something different for Jacob. He prayed.
Okay. Here we're talking about tonight being blessed and being pressured at the same time. Was Jacob blessed? Did he recognize that he was blessed? What do you think?
I think he did.
Yeah, he starts
Yes,
naming
it
off.
does.
He
Because
started naming off all of what God has given him. He says,
hmm
when I left only with my staff,
hmm
right? And now look at all that you've given me. And he
yeah.
named off the wives and the cattle and all. He's just basically he's saying, I have so much. I'm going to
hmm
send some ahead to Esau. So he realizes, God, I am so incredibly blessed. But at the same time, we hear a pressure. What's the pressure?
It's to make, oh, sorry.
Go ahead, whoever, I'm not sure who that was. Okay, take it, Brenda.
Oh, he needed to make amends with his brother. Like that was a loose end he's never been able to really, and so he can't really go back to his homeland until that's happened.
Yes. Someone give me the backstory with he and his brother. Maureen.
He stole his brother's birthright. And after his father died, or up until the point of his father's death, he swore to kill Jacob. After his father died, Esau swore to kill Jacob. So
Mhm.
Jacob's mother had him, Rebecca, had sent him to his brother, her brother, to find a wife or to go there to be safe or whatever her issues were. And so Jacob fled. He fled, but Esau was very angry at him for stealing his birthright, which he didn't actually steal. He bought it. I mean, kind of manipulated it out of him, but he tricked his dad into believing he was Esau, and he got his birthright. He got the
Mhm.
blessing, and
Mhm.
Esau was mad.
Okay. So this is something he's been living with for a while, right? So even though God has been blessing his life tremendously, there's some little morsel of something that still holds him captive. Ever been there where God is doing some incredible things for you and you're like, thank you, God, thank you. But then there's something from your past that just keeps you captive, holds on to you. Now, did Jacob love God?
Yes,
Yes. Why would you say yes? I agree. But why would you say
because out of everything, he always reverted back to God.
yes? Even in his prayer, you can hear it. So what I wanted to point out, and as we go deeper into this, it'll start making more sense. The load that I carry does not mean that I don't love God, nor does it mean that I doubt God's love for me. Because we're going to look at the load that Jacob is carrying, but at the same time, we hear his love for God. We hear that there's no doubt that God loves him. And I point that out because there are times, guys, we carry heavy loads and we can start doubting ourselves. We start doubting our relationship with God just because of the load, the weight, the fear that we're carrying. And we look at Jacob, he's carrying a heavy load, but it doesn't make him doubt his love for God. It doesn't make him doubt God's love for him. Now, he's terrified, distressed over his brother. So once we get terrified and distressed, what does he start to do? Because we start creating stuff. What is he doing in preparation for meeting his brother?
What he's always done,
What?
manipulation.
How is he manipulating? What is he doing?
He's giving him gifts, like he's setting up all of his families and his children in different waves, and then he's going to hit Esau with each wave. But more importantly, he feels that he will be in the last wave with his cherished wife, and that if anything happens, they'll be able to escape. while the previous ones may not.
Yeah. Have you ever anticipated a fight and then in your own head you kind of play out what's going to happen and how you're going to play it? Anybody? It's just me because I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a
When you
verbal reaction to everything somebody's going to tell you in your head because you know it already.
Yes. I don't know about you guys. I've written so many scripts in my head. When I know I need
Mhm.
to go in and talk to somebody, or I know I'm going to battle on something, my head has told the story. I'm going to say this, and I know they're going to say this, and then they're going to do this. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to be ready. That's basically what Jacob was doing. He was preparing himself for the fight. And he had manipulated everything. As Maureen said, I'm going to send these in. And if that doesn't work, then they're going to come in. If that doesn't work, that's what we do when we're fearful. When we're fearful of something, we play it out in our heads, whether it's fearful, I'm going to lose this job or not going to get the raise or whatever the case may be. We have our scenario in our heads and we play it out. And we're seeing Jacob play his out. Now let's go to the familiar part, the part that we know so much when we think of Jacob wrestling. Who can read that next section all the way to chapter 33?
I
I
can do
can
that.
read it.
Thanks, Cindy.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Saw your hand
Picking it up,
first.
picking up in 22.
Yes, please.
Okay. That night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 maidservants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." The man asked him, "What is your name?" "Jacob," he answered. Then the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have overcome." Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." But he replied, "Why do you ask my name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, I got to flip my page here, saying, "It is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared." The sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon.
Okay, let's talk about that. What jumps out at us? Tell me about it. Let's say I know nothing about this story. What would you tell me?
It seems like Jacob understood that when you get in a fight, you need to win it. Because that's pretty much in order to win. If you win it, then that's when you can actually get through to the other side. So he felt like all his whatever hope he had for the future lay within him winning this fight. And then in the midst of fighting, he's like, wait a minute, am I fighting with God? Like, who am I fighting with? He almost gets a coming to Jesus moment. And then
Right.
he's like, oh, please tell me, who am I fighting? What's your name? Um, so yeah, that's what I could see.
Okay. Okay. Good. Anyone else add to that?
Erica's here.
Hey, Erica.
Hi. I was huffing and puffing on the treadmill earlier, but now I'm off. Um, it's what stood out to me is that he was given a new name.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, like God saw a change in him
Mm-hmm.
and named him Israel. I thought that was one of the more significant pieces.
Okay. Good. Good. We're gonna come back to that. Any others? Maureen.
He said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me."
Mhm.
He
Mm,
it's like when Brenda was saying he wouldn't give up the fight, but he wasn't going to give it up because he wanted to be blessed.
yeah. Yes. If you think
Then,
about,
oh, sorry,
go
PJ.
for it,
This
Brenda.
so the angel acknowledges, like, this is so cool. He's like, before he gives him the name, he tells him, I'm giving you this name because you have fought against God. You fought with God and you fought the humans. So it's kind of like you've almost faced each temptation and you have actually fought.
Yeah.
You haven't given up.
Yes. What is Jacob known for?
For lying and
Deceiving.
being
Manipulation.
manipulative.
Yes.
That's what his name means,
That
deceiver.
his
Yeah.
name means deceiver. It's also mean heel grabber.
Hmm.
Jacob, heel grabber. If you really think about Jacob, he goes through life grabbing what he wants, seizing what he wants forcefully. Whatever I have to do, even in this fight, I won't let go until you
Mhm.
bless me. We're seeing his default setting.
Mhm.
And I always talk about we all have a default setting. His is he's tenacious and he
Mhm.
grabs hold of it and he fights and he holds on until it comes to be. And nothing at all, nothing wrong with that because God gives us our default setting. But
Mhm.
it is important that we know what our default setting is. What's your default setting? When you're fighting for your blessing or you're fighting to hold on, or you're fighting to see clearly, how do you go about it? We can see how Jacob went about it. How do you go about yours? What's your default?
I would
Everybody.
say there's a mix of what am I going to do in the meantime? So it's kind of like, okay, we're waiting, but we need to keep busy. But then that moment where there's an indifference, like, well, I guess it's not gonna come, so it's not gonna come now, so might as well. So yes, so the indifference leads me to doing in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's her default setting. So if you really trace Brenda's life, her spiritual walk, you find it shows up often when she gets in a jam or she's in a space that she's not so certain, it shows itself. What's your default?
I'm doing better
Mm.
at going to God first. Like when I
Okay.
feel the tug, when I feel the pull,
Mm-hmm.
just remembering that I'm not doing this alone. So I ask him
Mm-hmm.
for strength and clarity. Okay, help me through this. Okay, I have a new client. Okay, I'm feeling triggered. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
mental health is struggling. Help me.
Right.
Because we just know time after time again, we don't have to do this alone.
Yeah. Yeah. But her default is she goes to that I'm not so sure space. She's learned how to overcome it. But if we don't know what our default is, Satan can deceive us every time because we think something new is happening to us. What is that strange thing happening to us? You go, no, that's simply your default setting. Jacob's default setting was to grab on and fight. So we see it throughout his life. Even with Laban, you look at how many more years I have to give? I'm going to do that. It's like he was constantly grabbing on to what he wanted and holding on until it came to be. Anybody else identify your default setting?
Um, for me, it's to procrastinate, to wait, to stew over it. And this entire time, I'm just growing more and more anxious
Mm-hmm.
because time is passing and I start to question it more and it sows more and more doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Again, you don't have to identify it now, but be aware we all have one, just as we're seeing Jacob has one. Now, look at what God does in verse 24. I think it's 24. So Jacob was what? Next two
Left
words.
alone.
Jacob was left alone. Now he had all these people, all the cattle, all his staff, all of this, and he's going to send you here and you're going to go and boom, 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 boom. But when God got him alone, that's when his fight began. What happens when you find yourself alone? Just you and your thoughts and your fears and your panic. What happens when you find yourself alone?
Or go read a book. Pick up a book right now. Distract.
Distract. Okay. Angel?
I agree with distraction. I also think I when you ask like default setting, I agree with the procrastination and anxiety. I overthink a lot.
Mhm.
And I think that I tend to build it up more and more and more.
Mhm.
Um, and most of the time, it's not what I built it up to be. So now I'm like, I don't want to use the word over prepared because that sounds like a compliment because what I'm doing is not a good thing, but I'm like, I'm just over anticipating and I have a lot of doubt of if I can handle it or not.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. Thank you. Very, very true. And we're going to see as we keep going. So did Jacob. He overthought it. He expected a battle that never came. Have you ever had a battle built up in your head, but it's an invisible battle? And then it doesn't come. You're like, oh, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I was all prepared. And you've lost sleep. You've been restless. You're not eating, all because you anticipated something so big. And then it doesn't come to be. When God gets us by ourselves, he tends to get us to actually stop and listen,
Mhm.
right? Because as I think it was Brenda who said, we can distract ourselves. We can distract ourselves with busy. Even if we know we need to be dealing with something. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to go, I'm going to be busy. And then God gets us by ourselves, whether it's in our sleep. Have you ever had dreams where you're like, why am I tossing and turning? Or
A
I
lot.
can't get to sleep, right? Ever wake up feeling like, okay, God's trying to make me do something? Angel.
It's so funny because that literally happened today. Like I have I was so busy yesterday. Like it was go 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 all day long. By the time I went to bed, I was like, I haven't even eaten today. I haven't even had time to like think about anything. It's
Yeah.
been nonstop. And in my sleep, the weirdest like set of scenarios through my head as I was sleeping and dreaming. And I woke up today and I was like, if I would have just stopped for a second and dealt with this for a minute, like took a breath, maybe I wouldn't have had all the, it just happened today.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was just talking about it with Bryce before I got on here. Like I woke up at 4 a.m. just like in a whirlwind of emotions and anxiety. And I was like, if I would have just taken a breath, taken 5 minutes to just like pray and be to myself and just stop all the chaos, like I probably would have got a good night's sleep tonight, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. But sometimes it literally takes God pulling us out of the midst of people and everything else to get our attention. So when he finally got him alone, Brenda, go ahead.
Oh, like I never knew I was a melancholic person until my sleep. Like I would be going, and then in my sleep, I would wake up in the middle of the night and I go, so like so worried, so depressed in my sleep, right? And so as I started recognizing it, then I was like, okay, I need to start voicing this. So I would go on walks with a friend and I'm like, hey, when they ask, how are you doing? I'm actually feeling melancholy because this is how my life looks like. I don't recognize it during the day, but it invades me in my sleep.
Mm,
So then I can't sleep and I'm concerned and worried, and I don't think that is gonna help me or come through for me.
right.
Yeah. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you look at it, once God got him alone, his fight became different. What was he fighting with before he was alone? He was fighting with something different. And then after he got alone, he started fighting differently. Anybody see the difference, the change? What was he grappling with in the
forgiveness. He
first?
was in the first. He was trying to find to get the forgiveness from his brother, so his brother would embrace him and welcome him. But in the fight now, in the fight in his sleep, he's grappling with being blessed by God. Like he's looking for assurance in a
Mhm.
not from the brother, but from God. Like, can you really rescue me and save me?
Yeah, think about that. What's important about that? Before God got him alone, he was wrestling with the things of his past, the things of the physical things. Oh my God, what is my brother going to do to me? He was wrestling with those things just as we do until God got him alone and really made him fight the real fight. Often God has to get us alone to fight the real fight. Otherwise, we're fighting with things that are really invisible ghosts. He was fighting in his mind what he was anticipating going to happen when he finally saw his brother. When he heard that his brother was coming with 400 men, what did that do to him?
He
Panic.
got ulcers.
Yeah, I filled him with fear.
He was terrified. So it confirmed everything that he was already thinking, right? If he had heard his brother was just coming, he still would have been afraid. But when he heard he was coming with 400 men, what started going through his head?
There's a war.
Here.
They coming to get me. They're gonna hang me. They're gonna put me. It's like his mind just started going crazy. That's what we do. Our mind starts going. And then when God got him alone, he refocused his fight. He was still fighting. That's important. We're still fighting. Doesn't matter. I was talking to Bridget before we got started, whether we are walking with God or not walking with God, we're still fighting. And we can say, but that's not fair. But that's life. We're still fighting. The thing is, God is focusing our fight over to the right thing. So once he got him alone, then all of a sudden the fight changed. So now he's wrestling with this angel, like this God. What do you guys, what do you hear? What is he fighting over? What is he fighting for?
Blessing.
Blessing. What blessing? Do we know?
The
It doesn't.
word control is coming to my mind too.
Yes, why? Can you tell me your why?
Just in general, I need these goats and male goats and my wives and servants, and you go ahead and stay 3 steps behind, and then everybody cross first, and then God gets him alone, which he often does with us, to remind him who is really in control. That's my download.
Yes, there's a battle of control going on. And it's really interesting exactly what the control is. And this was my aha as I was studying this out. When the angel was wrestling with him, he asked him a very specific question. What was that question? I mean, we have Jacob who says, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me.
What is your
Right?
name?
He says, what is your name? Where have we heard that before with Jacob? Or have we? It wasn't the exact words, but 20 years earlier, when he stole the birthright, before the dad who was going blind and couldn't really see, he says, who are you?
Mm.
And he said, Esau.
Uh-huh.
So here he is coming face to face with his demon. The demon that he has been grappling with and running away from for 20 years. And he's built up his story and he's ready to fight, even based on his story. Now he comes face to face with the angel, and the angel goes, "Nuh-uh. Let's deal with this." Because really, it isn't Esau that's keeping you up at night. What's keeping him up at night?
Probably his conscience,
Mm,
more than likely. He knows he did wrong.
yeah. Yes. God will bring us around to dealing with our conscience, guys, because we want to be clear of it. Jacob wanted to be clear of it. That's why he was trying all the various things. But sometimes being clear of it is literally just confronting it. And until we do, it's this giant monster that looms over us. So here we go, almost 20 years back, and he gets the same question, almost verbatim. What is your name? In other words, Who are you? Who does he say this time? I know the first time he answered Esau, which was a lie, right? Just so that he could receive everything that he wanted. Now he says what?
Jacob.
Yeah.
And the angel proceeds because he's saying, okay, I'm going to get real. My name is Jacob.
Mm.
And the angel's like, now I can give you that blessing that really you've been searching for all your life. What's the blessing he gave him? He had already been majorly blessed. Again, he came across the water with just a staff. Now he's got oxen and wives and kids, and he's already been blessed beyond blessed. But it wasn't the blessing that God had for him. It was part of God's blessing, but it wasn't the blessing. So God now does something different. He says, my name is Jacob. And he says, yeah, but what is he going to say?
Your name will be Israel.
Your name would now be Israel. What's important about that? Eric, I saw your hand. Did you want to add?
To me, the true blessing is, I mean, I see that as a form of acceptance. Like God is confirming to Jacob that I accept you, I love you, and I see that you've changed. And I think there's so much I want to say about this because this story, God gave this to me last night and he gave it to me again today. And now that you're giving it to me, and I'll mention this at a moment when I have time to share because my mind is just kind of being blown right now. This is so specific to so much that I've been stewing over lately, just wanting to make God happy and this pressure of doing things that I feel like he wants me to do, but maybe I'm not doing it in a timely manner. And then here's the story of Jacob where he knows deep down inside that he's not really done all the right things in life, but here he is. God has been merciful and he's showing Jacob by truly, it shows that we think things that are blessings in life are the vanities, right? The materialistic stuff, or like back then having land and having this and that.
Mhm.
But really, it's just about the greatest blessing of all is being accepted by God and knowing that He loves you. And that's in the end, He got the greatest blessing of all.
That is powerful. I want to put together what Erica is saying with what Maureen was beginning to say, because that really is the blessing. We are so hungry for blessings that every little blessing, we take it as the blessing. And God is saying, I have so much more in store for you. We get excited. Oh, I got a job. Oh, I did this. Or I got a check. Or he's like, yeah, but I got so much more for you. So we look at the blessing that Jacob had in the very first part of this, the family, the land, and all that good stuff, but he was also tormented inside. And God was less concerned, even though he was the one who gave him all these wonderful things, he was less concerned about all the material things that he had given him. He was more concerned with that morsel that Erica's talking about. Ooh, you don't know who you are. You don't know that you've been accepted. Not only did he accept him, which is what Erica's talking about, but then Maureen was taking us to the next level. What did he call him, Maureen, and what was important about that?
He called him Israel. And what's important about that is he's changed his name. So Jacob is no longer known as the usurper or the trickster, the manipulator, or any of those other names he was known as, because your name meant something, especially during that time.
Yes.
And now he's known as Israel, which is, I Googled it, one who strives with God or God prevails. So he went from where he's this person that hardly anybody likes to God prevailing in his life.
That is powerful. It gives me chills to hear that. When we think of this story, and that's why I said I just did a personal deep dive, I always tell people I'm not a scholar, but I just love studying the word. Every time I hear this and we hear about Jacob refused to let go, he wrestled with the angel, he refused to let go until he received his blessing. And that's kind of been the gist of the story. But it showed me something different today. His blessing actually came when he let go. When he let go of all the past stuff and all those fears, when he let go of being who he had built himself to be and stepped into who God had made him to be, then the real blessing appeared. So often, and it is definitely true, we won't receive certain blessings unless we hold on and we fight for it. But then there are also blessings in our lives that will not come if we don't let go of whatever it is we've been holding on to. He had to let go of some stuff from his past. He had to let go of how he thought about things and about himself and about people in order to step into being accepted by God, as Erica said, and then not only been accepted, but renamed by God. He is saying, you are no longer the deceiver, the manipulator. You're no longer all these things that the world says about you. I'm giving you a new name. But he could never embrace that had he not let go of what he had before. Cindy, I saw your hand.
I don't know why I didn't see this years ago, but that whole grasping for the blessing, this is a redux from what was earlier with his father.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted that blessing, which would be more material, prosperity.
Right.
You know, the relatives are gonna, they're gonna, they're gonna fall at your feet, you know, and in those times, the blessing was prosperity. And he stole the
Mhm,
birthright from the oldest son, which would get a double portion.
mhm,
Jacob, as the youngest, wouldn't get very, very much. So he did the math and he grabbed it, okay, and his mother helped him, which there's a whole thing about that.
right.
And in that same way, he's doing this here, but it's what he wants from God is different, not from what he wanted from his father, which was this material wealth and the birthright, right? So he goes after it with God, which is a great, you know, a great example.
Mhm,
But he says, I won't let you go until you bless me. Just like he wouldn't let go, he wanted the blessing from Isaac. He stole it.
mhm,
Was that wasn't his.
right.
And then there's this complete turnaround, like you're saying. It just, I don't know. The the whole birthright stealing and angling for the blessing with Isaac, and now he's gotten here. And I didn't see how important that was that he said that. I won't let you go until you bless me. That's it. You know, and I'm fighting for it.
Right.
And then what you said was, then he let go. I don't know where you said, did he let him go? He struggled with him. Um, but then
Didn't
he gets
physically
the
let go.
blessing.
He had to
Yeah,
let go of, yes,
yeah. So he had to let go of who he was, and God renames him and says, that
exactly.
history that you had is no longer your future and
Yes,
your reputation or
yes,
your destiny, which
yes.
is
Very good.
really cool.
Very good. Maureen.
Just really quick, when you started speaking, Cindy, you started telling about the Esau's blessing. What crossed my mind was Jacob let go of the flesh and he went to the spiritual side. So he
Right.
let go of the worldly things and then he went to God's side.
Mhm.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Brenda.
There's also the blessing. It looks like Jacob was so much more moved by the fact that he got to see God face to face,
Mm-hmm.
and he lived to tell the tale. And
Mm-hmm.
all through the Bible, I think we can only see two people who've seen God
Yeah,
face to face, Jacob and Moses.
yeah,
And the rest are like they only see the back of God or him under a cloud and something like that. So
right.
it's really it's an amazing blessing in that stage deal.
I do it
Yeah.
online.
That's why I was saying earlier, just
Isn't it?
because we struggle, or just because we're under pressure, or
That's
just
lovely.
because we are bantering with God over something, does not mean that we don't love God or that God doesn't love us. Because we see the relationship between Jacob and God. As Brenda's saying, he's one of the two who actually got a chance to see face to face. So the relationship was solid. That should give us comfort in knowing we can have a solid relationship with God and still struggle, still be
Mhm.
under pressure. We've got to take the pressure off of ourselves of thinking, if I'm struggling with something, I must not be doing well spiritually.
Mm,
That has just kind of become a blanket. And I hate hearing that
mhm,
because I can be really in a wrestling match with God,
Uh-huh.
trying to see clearly, and it's the best thing for me.
mm,
It doesn't mean I'm not doing well spiritually.
mhm,
Right.
It means for the first time, maybe God has gotten my attention and I'm solid and I'm focused.
mm,
That's when he finally got Jacob to let go of old thoughts and ideas and all of that. Once he was able to get him alone, and because he was indeed the fighter, he was willing to go toe to toe. He was willing to fight it out. Now let's look at what happens. And I love this part. Oh, I just got chills. I almost cried this day reading this. Go to chapter 33. Somebody can read just when he meets his brother. Just take verses 1 down to 9. 1 to
I
9.
can read. I
Thank
can
you.
read that. Um, Looking up, Jacob saw Esau coming, accompanied by 400 men. He divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and the two maids, putting the maids and their children first, Leah and her children next, Rachel and Joseph last. He himself went ahead and bowed low to the ground 7 times until he was near his brother. Esau ran to greet him. He embraced him, and falling on his neck, he kissed him, and they wept. Looking about, he saw the women and the children. Who, he asked, are these with you? He answered, the children with whom God has favored your servant. Then the maids with their children came forward and bowed low. Next, Leah with her children came forward and bowed low. And last, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed low. And he asked, what do you mean by all this company which I have met? He answered, to get my Lord's favor. Esau said, I have enough, my brother. Let what you have remain yours.
What is happening? What are you hearing?
Love and forgiveness.
Love and forgiveness. Angel, saw your hand.
Well, and everything that he built this up to be wasn't anything. He didn't need all to bring everybody. He didn't need to be afraid and worrying about it and, making all these precautions. Like, he could have just really went by himself and,
Yeah,
had that moment with his brother. So,
yeah. If you think about it, think in terms of he's wasted 20 years of his life. Think about how many years of our lives we waste because we did something or someone did something and it's unresolved and we've built up in our heads what it's going to be, what we think it's going to be. And no, they don't all end like this, but my goodness, this is just, it literally gave me chills that his brother ran and hugged him and kissed him. Meanwhile, he anticipated it was going to be something different. You can only imagine as his brother was running towards him what he thought might happen,
Mm,
you know? But
mm,
because he had had that encounter with the angel, he was willing to stand his ground. not knowing what the brother's response was going to be. He had been transformed, he had been changed, he had been blessed, not materialistically, but he had been blessed deep from within. I know I shared this story once before, a long, long time ago. I always tell people, hey, I haven't always been a minister. I preface it with that. But my young early days, I dated married men only on purpose. That was, for whatever reason, it made sense to BJ. And I was working with a young guy, and we had a relationship going on. And I knew him and I knew his wife. And I remember this was right, I had just gotten baptized. Life was kind of changing around, but still the old BJ was still the old BJ. And I remember it was a Blockbusters, walking into the store, and she walked into the store and she looked at me, knowing I had been up to something with her husband. She literally walked up to me and I felt everything inside of me panic.
Mm.
And she just stood there and stared at me and she said, I thought you were my friend, and walked away. My heart felt that. It was so painful. But I knew in that moment, as she was walking towards me, whatever she says, whatever she does, I deserve it. So I wasn't going to try to retaliate or plead my case. I was just going to stand there and take whatever it was, because I had known what I'd done. I had known it was terrible. I knew it was wrong. I think about Jacob and Esau. Jacob probably had one of those moments, because as his brother was running towards him, he didn't know what his brother was going to do.
Mhm.
At the same time, he had to have known, whatever it is, I deserve it.
Yeah.
But because he had had the encounter with the angel, with God, he was willing to stand there and accept it. And I know my little example doesn't compare at all, but they're so reminiscent of the same thing. When you have been changed by God, you can stand in that. You can say, I was indeed that person, but I am no longer that person. And I can stand firmly in that. That's the change that I started to see in Jacob when I dug into him this week. He is not just the deceiver who grabbed onto the heel of his brother and grabbed onto life and took blessings and insisted that blessings come his way. Yeah, that was part of his story. That is who he was. But when he finally let go, he became Israel. He became who God had planned for him to be. So same story. If I just pull it all together for all of us, we all have a past that I'm sure we're not very proud of. Everybody has a story. It may not be a BJ story, but you have a story that kind of makes you cringe and go, yeah, I was that person. I wish I could say I wasn't, but I was. But God has interceded. He has transformed our lives. So we don't have to shamefully stand in that person anymore. Instead, that person has no hold on me, because God has now claimed me for who I am, renamed me, and I can now move forward. And the blessings just starts to flow. His brother running up and loving up on him was a blessing that he couldn't have possibly have asked for or prayed for. It was just lavished on him by God, because that's who our God is. Amen.